Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to recap Caerdroia. This is a prototype keyboard that we built on our live stream last week, and it is going to be going into a group buy starting April 11th. This keyboard was sent over to us by Canon Keys and was designed by Alchemist Keyboards. Note, while I am an affiliate of Canon Keys, no money changed hands, all opinions remain my own, and no one has seen this content prior to its upload. Starting MSRP is $420 for the bare bones anodized models, which will ship in either Dolce, Verdant, or Alta Rubedo colorways, or $430 for the E-Beige unit we're taking a look at today. And I do want to very firmly emphasize, this is a prototype keyboard, so if you go back to Twitch and watch the VOD for this, there are going to be very minor revisions that I do cover in the VOD that will be made for the final production run of the board. The design for Caerdroia is this interesting mix of mostly subtle and delicate design elements with a side profile that gives us just enough angularity and presence to make this stand out a little bit more than it otherwise would. I'm also a huge fan of the way the sides of the keyboard sort of flare out. It gives it a wider stance on your desk without the typing area itself or the bezels being overly thick. As far as layout goes, you can see we've got your basic F12 TKL layout with a Sangen bottom row. Now, alternatively, if you wanted to go Win keyless with that, that is a no-cost option for Caerdroia as well. Personally, I think I would go Win keyless, but you do you. We've also got excellent machining and tolerances on this keyboard. All of the seams are super precise around the perimeter. Basically everything is about as perfect as you can get it, especially considering that on this model, we've got the E code on there, which makes everything just that little bit thicker. And while we're on the bottom here, the powder-coated brass weight with the very beautifully done Caerdroia logo in the center of it turned out great. And if you were wondering what a Caerdroia is, it's a hedge maze. So that's why you've got this maze pattern carved into the brass weight here. I am certain this was not arbitrarily inexpensive to produce. Now moving over to the back of the keyboard, we also see not only this really tastefully done Alchemist Keyboards logo here, but we also have dual USB 3.0 pass-through ports that will be making it to the final production version of the board. So if you're something of a power user or generally a typist who would prefer to have some additional high-speed I/O available to you near your keyboard, this may be a bit more of an appealing option for you, provided, of course, you're running this keyboard through a USB port on your host device that can take advantage of all the bandwidth. For the mounting system for this, we've got a classic top mount with no mounting points near the spacebar, so nothing major to write home about or complain about for that matter. What is interesting is the standard polycarbonate plate for this. It's 4.5 millimeters thick, which means you're getting the sound of polycarb, but you're getting almost more of the feel of aluminum. It's a really interesting plate material choice, and it's one that I think I might actually like to see more often, because I think I'm a pretty big fan of thick polycarbonate plates now. For the Hotswap PCB, you do get a few layout options. The spacebar region is, of course, locked to Sangen because you have Win key or Win keyless options. We do have an option for a stepped or regular caps lock. We are actively using split right shift. You do get normal shift for this as well. And you get option for a regular or a split backspace. And if MX isn't your thing with this keyboard, there's also going to be both Hall Effect and EC kits available for this board. So you can literally type whatever way you want to on this. Now, when we first demoed this board on our live stream, we did so with GMK CYL Camping sent over by Keeb Noob for us to make content with. We also used GMK CYL Honeywell. Both of those sets looked excellent. But in a follow-up stream, I decided to also mount CXA IARA, not only because it turns out this set looks gorgeous on this board, I think, but there was one last design cue that I actually almost miss entirely. See, like CXA profile here, this board has this very subtle rounding off that happens on the front face of the CXA spacebar here, but it's done at the bottom front edge of the keyboard. So it almost has that same sort of shape that that you see looking at the front of like a Bauer light or something like that. but instead of having it be a little bit more dramatic, it's just the super soft rolling of the front bottom edge of the case that occurs. It's gorgeous, and with CXA on the keyboard, it looks that much better. So now let's get into the typing test. We're going to show you one with GMK-CYL keycaps, one with CXA keycaps. Comment down below, which configuration did you prefer? Personally, I liked CXA profile the best for this configuration, but that's not to say that GMK's CYL profile sounded bad in the least, and both keycap sets looked outstanding. So general takeaways from this then. This board is extremely well made. There's exceptional machining tolerance on this. The design is first and foremost simple and functional. Any of the design embellishments on here lean really hard into subtlety, again, with the exception of those really aggressive angles on the side. Subtlety is the key word with Caerdroia's design language. And as far as functional goes, the case couldn't be easier to assemble, top mount is really easy to deal with, and the added USB 3.0 pass-through functionality at the rear gives this board more of a almost workhorse feel in that way. Even the typing on this is fairly unique. It sounds like polycarbonate, but it doesn't quite feel like polycarbonate because of the added thickness of the plate material. Honestly, I found it to be incredibly pleasant, and again, I would really like to see more keyboards release with thicker polycarbonate plates in mind. But coming back to the subtlety, for better or worse, this keyboard does have a bit of a tendency to sort of blend into your desk setup fairly naturally. Some folks might want something a little bit more flashy on their desk, with a bit more design embellishment, a bit brighter color palette. This is not for that user. This is for someone who appreciates subtle design cues and a sort of function-first format for their keyboards. And especially at this price point, it's certainly not going to be for everyone, but I genuinely think that anyone that buys into Caerdroia, once they take delivery of it, assuming everything is, well made from the factory, then they should enjoy these keyboards very much. And I have very much enjoyed my time with Caerdroia, but now it's time to pack it up and send it off to another creator. Take care of yourselves and one another, and we'll see you all in the next video.